Well, California just passed a new bill. It's called the SB 145 bill, man. A lot of y'all been messaging me about it. We're going to break that down. We're going to get to the bottom of it and how disgusting and useless and just kind of proves to you guys that Hollywood is definitely trying to normalize pedophilia. This just concludes it and probably just makes it fact. All right, I'm just going to say that. It's fact. So there's this new law that just passed right now. It's called the SB 145. It was introduced by Scott Wiener. Scott Wiener. Is this guy right here. I just want to give you a little bit of context of this dude. He also passed a law that decriminalizes people for intentionally spreading the HIV virus. Yes, guys. This guy pushed a bill, law in California, that if you knowingly have HIV, and let's say somebody wants to go out and says, I'm gonna die anyway from HIV, let me just spread the virus to as many people as I want. If they get caught doing it, intentionally passing, not informing the person that they're having intercourse with, I mean, they can't be charged with it. It's not a, they'll probably just get a citation for it. I mean, what kind of common sense? That's the type of common sense this person has. All right, so this SB 145 bill. Let me just get straight to the beans and enchiladas. So what it's really about. They passed this bill, all right, protecting pedophiles, gay pedophiles, or the LGBT community pedophiles. All right, so the whole let's listen to this whole twisted concept. Just bear with in mind.
This disparate treatment of these sex acts is a vestige from the anti-LGBT laws in the 1940s that criminalized gay sex. Tragically, in 2019, our laws still mandate that a young person in a consensual relationship who is convicted of performing these specific sex acts must be placed on the sex offender registry. And our courts are barred from using discretion, the word we like so much, to keep them off, even though a similarly situated young person convicted of statutory rape wouldn't have the same restriction. This distinction in the law is irrational and discriminatory towards LGBT youth, as it treats these acts as more egregious of a crime than statutory rape. SB 145 ends blatant discrimination against young people engaged in voluntary sexual activity by giving courts the discretion to decide at sentencing if registering the defendant as a sex offender is appropriate, regardless of the sex act they performed.
Basically trying to say LGBT community pedophiles deserve the same rights as regular straight pedophiles. That's the logic. If y'all understand the drift, I know it's confusing for me too, but this is the reason. But on top of that, the new bill, it says that the age limit between the kid and the person, that for it to be consensual, is a 10-year age gap. That means you could have a 14-year-old little girl and a 24-year-old guy. Let's say a teacher that's 24-year-old and a 14-year-old girl, and it would be considered consensual sex. I mean, they're really pushing the boundaries big time. A 10-year gap difference, it would be considered not a sex offender. What? In what world are we living in that this is happening? All right, it's just disturbing. But now they're arguing that a 14-year-old gay kid, a gay boy, can now have anal sex with a 24-year-old gay guy. I mean, it's still a pedo. So at the end of the day, who are they protecting? This new law does not protect the kids at all. The only thing that this new law protects is pedophiles. So this new law that is passed by the Scott Wiener dude has nothing to do about saving the kids, saving our children. Has nothing to do with nothing like that. It's just another slippery slope, a slippery weaselly way to normalize pedophilia, guys. What is the meaning of this new law? 10-year age gap. It's ridiculous, man. Now, I'm not the only one that thinks it's ridiculous. The senators or whatever, the people representing to pass the law, they didn't all feel the same. A lot of people were discussing it as well, man. Just take a look at these couple of clips.
Very clear. The equity argument that Equality California and others have promoted for this bill, I completely agree with. In fact, I agree with it so much that the amendments that they gave me to take in appropriations, which would have still created a two-tier system, I refuse to take, because it is about equitable solutions. Any sex is sex. I don't care who it's between or what sex act it is. That being said, I cannot in my mind as a mother understand how sex between a 24-year-old and a 14-year-old could ever be consensual, how it could ever not be a registerable offense. I don't care what kind of sex it is. I don't care if it's traditional. I'm not going to go there. But the bottom line is, when a 24-year-old has sex with a 14-year-old, it is always in an inequitable situation. Most of the time, it's a teacher and student. It might be a Bible study instructor, a coach, and a student. I've had 14-year-olds. I've asked everybody, as this has sat in my committee for 2 years, amend both sides of the bill. Amend the current situation where one sex act between a 24 and a 14-year-old might be considered consensual by a judge, and amend this so we can have equity, because it should be equitable. But we should never give up on this idea that children should be in any way subject to a predator. And that's what it is. I cannot, and I've never heard, and I've challenged everybody, give me a situation where a 24-year-old had sex with a 14-year-old, any kind of sex, and it wasn't predatory. Any example, and I've yet to see it.
Mr. Choi, you are recognized.
Thank you, Speaker and the members of the Assembly. I stand today in opposition of SB 145. Colleagues, as a lifelong educator, we place adults in places of trust with the youth and the children. In an age of historic sex trafficking and child trafficking here in California, I think this bill is entirely inappropriate. I don't understand why a 24-year-old volunteer coach should not have to register as a sex offender for being with a 15-year-old student. Statutory rape should be a registerable offense either way, and by lowering this offense, colleagues, we are signaling to families and the children everywhere that we support these abusive situations.
You know, there are some good points when you bring up the handful of cases where it's within a few years. But when you start talking about this 10-year gap that this opens up, it tears at the moral fiber of our state, of our community, of our families. And this bill just goes too far. I ask you all to consider that. Think about it. How would you feel if it was your 14-year-old and somebody was 10 years older than them?
The minority were the people that were disgusted by this law, and they were pushed to the side, and this law is now protecting pedophiles. I mean, Hollywood industry. I mean, what a big surprise. So it's not really a big surprise, but it's disturbing in that way, that in this type of times where we are here outcrying for help for our children.
Save the children! Save the children! Save the children! Save the children! Save the children!
We are being ignored, and for some weird reason, Hollywood and California had the audacity to come and pass a law just to protect and normalize pedophilia. I mean, to me, all pedos should be treated the same. You know, they shouldn't be, I mean, to my opinion, they shouldn't be alive at all. I mean, this is just another step towards that progressiveness of normalizing pedophilia, bro. Y'all still think this is a conspiracy theory? Get out of here, man. Wake up, do your research, man. We got to save our children, man. But unfortunately, the law's out here, and the government is out here protecting pedos left and right. All we could do is just keep pushing the fight, guys. That's all. We keep our foot on their necks. We're gonna keep on pushing on, man. Keep exposing these mofos, and that's all I can say, man. But anyway, leave your comments down below, man. Let me know what y'all think about this. I mean, this is disturbing. But anyway, thank y'all for watching. It is I am away for the 713. I'll see y'all on the next episode.